I've been playing Wuthering Waves since its official release, and likewise, I was a day one Genshin Impact player as well. There's a lot of similarities between the two, and tons of differences as well. While it's clear Genshin has fallen off a bit, and Wuthering Waves does plenty that Genshin could never, that doesn't mean Wuthering Waves is perfect. There are some things, or should I say more things, that it can glean from its predecessor. Here is one. At the start of it all, way back before walking along that beach near Star Snatch Cliff, we were given the basic tools to comprehend the framework for which the rest of the story would continue. This was done by giving the main character a clear objective: to find your sister, or brother, whichever you choose, no judgment. While there are tons of other things that happen inside of this framework, it clearly sets the motivation of the main character, and this is often better than giving it no clear motivation at all. As for Wuthering Waves, who really is Rover? What do they care about? Why here in Jinzhou? Why now? And also, who is this? Why do we never hear from or see them again? As of 1.0, there's no clear answer to any of these questions. Not only do we learn the motivation of the main character at the start of Genshin, we learn about the state of Teyvat to a degree, the allogenes, and the gods, all while leaving room for expansion on the details for future stories and updates. They give enough context to set the structure of the world that we as players are diving into. The world of Solaris 3 leaves more questions than answers by the end of the main story. Why are some people resonators and some aren't? Bruh. How do they get these abilities and why? While the answers to some of these questions can be found to some extent in other parts of the game, for such an important fact of the world, I think the topic should be explored more prominently in the main story, or at the very least, in required story quests. In Genshin, nearly everything feels like it matters. Conversations with NPCs, descriptions of items, landforms, and even random scraps of paper all help shape the world, its history, its mythology, and just help inform us about the world of Teyvat and the people who inhabit it. Even if some of these ways aren't always my preferred way of taking in the story, I'm glad that they're there. I'm glad that every weapon or level up material can tell me more if I just so choose to read it. Admittingly, Genshin does sometimes rely on this a bit too much for the important story beats. Nonetheless, this is something that is noticeably missing in Wuthering Waves. So far, descriptions of most items, main story, and dialogue from NPCs don't tell us very much about the nation of Huanglong as a whole, before or even after the lament. We know that Mondstadt is a city of booze and freedom. We learn about their appreciation for music through Venti and through street bards. We find that Liyue is a land of tradition and legends, yet valuing commerce above all. And even before we visit a new area or land, we're given information about what to expect about its landscape, its history, or just something to make us wonder what else is out there. Currently, we don't know much about the people of Jinzhou, its ideals, philosophies, legends, or hardly anything special about the culture and the values of its people. Kuro Games, you gotta tell us more. Since this game is still early in its life cycle, I do believe there's a good chance we might be able to see some of these improvements as the patches come and go. And I think we can all see that Kuro Games has made it clear that they do care about player feedback, and they do care what we think of their game and story. I mean, we all know Genshin's stance on player feedback. Nonetheless, I really hope Wuthering Waves considers some of these things to further enrich the experience long into its future, as the game grows and evolves. So as promised, my thoughts on patch 1.1. I'll get into that in just a second, but first, I'd just like to say that it takes a lot of time and energy to write and edit this style of video. So if you like these analytical styled videos, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps me know how you feel about it, and it also supports the channel. So without further ado, let's get into it. As you can tell, I started this video before the release of the 1.1 patch, and I've played through the entire story of 1.1 and done tons of exploration, and it is an amazing step up. The step in quality is night and day. The environments, how they do the exploration in this area, the story, the major improvements that I've talked about in other videos, the Echo EXP, it does so many things so much better. Nearly every point I talked about in this video, as well as wrote about for future videos, they already addressed. That is phenomenal. In respect to the introduction of Abby, when Abby was first introduced in 1.0, I thought it was very weird. It was like, hey, here's this thing that came to protect you out of your body, and let's continue the story and not talk about it or address it at all. And I thought that was very strange, but I'm happy that at the very start of 1.1, they begin with that. I think that really gives, more life to it, and it makes up for what happened in 1.1. By the way, I really like the Abby character, especially the English voice. I think it really makes Abby feel like a little bro or something like that. Anyway, let me know how you feel about Abby. And yeah, the 1.1 patch was amazing. Let me know in the comments if you agree with any of these takes. And I hope this video can tide you over until next time. Catch you in the waves.